Hey, this is Ready Dude, and this is the full version of a video I released a teaser for a little bit ago because I couldn't finish this in time. If you already saw the teaser video, then skip to the timestamp on screen so you don't have to watch the beginning again. Otherwise, enjoy the hardest Mario challenge I've ever attempted. Alright folks, listen up. I would make a proper intro for this, but I'm in a time crunch to finish this video, and you know how to read the title anyway, so let's get into it. The rules are simple. Never touch the control stick or D-pad ever. At all. No exceptions. Can we beat New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe like this? I know you might be thinking, Ready Dude, this is very obviously impossible, but just give me a chance because who knows? Well, we start a new file and... Okay, so we might need to modify the rules a bit to allow us to move on the world map, and for good measure, we can use it on the menus. But if the game is on pause during a level, hands off the left side of the controller, got it? So we walk over to 1-1 Acorn Plains way. Damn it. You know, perhaps I'd been getting a bit cocky with these sorts of challenges, but can you blame me? I've managed to beat both New Soup Wii and U without the jump button. I beat New Soup DS without running, and even New Soup 2 without pressing left. I guess I flew too close to the sun with this one though. I mean, what was I thinking? Not touching the control stick? Are you kidding me? How was I expecting that to work in a 2D platformer? And it's pretty sad because this game specifically had the highest chance of this being possible. The Acorn suit allows you to boost yourself in the air and is the only power-up in 2D Mario that can give you any horizontal speed from a complete standstill. I'm not sure if this ability has an official name, so I'll just call it an Acorn boost. But if we were to use it, we could potentially complete this level by just slowly boosting to the end. But of course, we can't get an Acorn suit on the first screen of the game. The first one is just over to the right, but we can't get there without moving. And we can't move without the Acorn suit. So, yeah, I guess that's it. It is impossible to complete New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe without touching the control stick. But what if we were to start the level with an Acorn suit already equipped? Now, this is impossible with the new save file, but if we were to, say, replay the level with the Acorn from the start, we could actually beat it that way. It's a very slow process though. It's just jumping, boosting, slowly falling to the ground, and repeating. You don't have much control over where you land either. You can twirl a bit on the way down to go a little further, and you can control when in the jump you boost, but once you start, you basically have to commit to where you're gonna land. No way to turn around or come to an early stop. When you do land, you can perform inertia hops or eye hops to keep your little momentum from the boost by jumping repeatedly, which allows you to go a bit further. But that's all the control we have. But you can beat 1-1 like this, just very slowly. So that begs the question, if you can beat 1-1 without touching the control stick, assuming you start with an Acorn suit, how many levels can you beat in New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe without touching the control stick? See, I told you this video didn't have an intro, but I lied. I was lying to you. This was all the intro, and now we're at the actual meat of the video. You fell for my lies, and now you have to commit to watching, just like with an Acorn boost. We're going to look at every level throughout the game, including enemy encounters, and try to find out just how many you can beat without moving. To do so, we're going to modify our rules once again to give us as much of a chance as possible. First, we're going to be using 100% save file to access whatever level we want. On top of this, we can enter a level in whatever state we want, with any power-up. Except for the P-Acorn, because that gives you infinite Acorn boosts, which might trivialize things too much. But other than that, we can enter a level however we want. To balance this out, however, we have some extra limits placed on us. For one, we aren't allowed to start from the checkpoint in a level. This means that we need to complete a given stage all the way through in one try. This also means that we'll have to beat it damageless, because the moment we lose the Acorn suit, we become a sitting duck. And on top of this, we're not allowed to use multiplayer, nor any easy mode characters. Lastly, in the case of enemy encounters, we need to be able to not only kill all the enemies, but also open the chest ourselves. You may not know this, but if you take too long to open the chest after it appears, Nabbit will show up and steal the item inside. The game will consider the encounter to have been won, but it doesn't count for our challenge. we got to get that item ourselves. Now, before we jump right into this challenge properly, we could take a look at all the levels in this game and decide which ones we even have to try. Because there's a big obstacle in this challenge that can immediately eliminate half the game from being possible. Basically, any level that requires you to enter a pipe or door is completely impossible without the control stick. This means that we already know that every underground level, underwater level, ghost house, tower, and castle is impossible, and that we shouldn't even bother. There are some levels that just seem to require pipes for no reason, which allows us to eliminate more levels, including almost everything in World 6 and 8. That's a lot of levels that are already impossible, but that doesn't mean that what's left is anything close to easy. In fact, while I didn't know it at the time, I just begun the hardest Mario challenge I've ever attempted. Welcome to Acorn Plains. We've got 4 levels and 1 enemy encounter to try out. We've already proved 1-1 to be possible, so let's just head to the second level, 1-3 Yoshi Hill. Besides 1-1, this is probably the only other level in the game to be pretty easy with this challenge. There's few pits, long stretches of solid ground, and predictable enemies. The Monty Moles put in a 2 weeks notice before they pop out, so you have all the time in the world to react. Yoshi is useless, as he is in pretty much every challenge I've ever done, but sometimes the level's polite enough to carry you through the level for you on rolling hills. Something we should take note of, however, is that most moving platforms in this game do not carry our momentum. The rolling hills kinda do, but most of the time when you jump, you'll stay in place while the platform keeps moving without you. It doesn't mean much now, but good to know. 1-4 Mushroom Heights. Now is when things start to get a bit harder. This stage is full of moving mushrooms, and therefore where you land is not only based on how high you boost from, but also when you boost. Timing is key, especially for parts where you can't really see what's ahead until you've already committed to a jump. While it's only just starting to show itself now, this will soon just become a state of being, so enjoy it while it's not too annoying, which it will be in about 3 seconds. And then there's 1-5. Rise of the Piranha Plants is probably the hardest level in this challenge, which is crazy because it's in World 1. And I don't mean it's the hardest because all the other levels are easy, I mean that this one is really, really hard. As the name implies, the main gimmick of the stage is Piranha Plants, mostly giant ones, which more importantly are enemies that you can't jump on. Even a light graze means you have to completely restart, and their placements are brutal. But what makes this level even worse is its use of slopes and moving platforms. See, there are 2 directions a slope can take. A positive slope is one that moves up as you go to the right. We like positive slopes because if we jump from the base and boost low, we can land back onto the slope pretty quickly, which is good because as long as we remain in the air after a boost, we have pretty much no control, so you do want to land as soon as possible. Negative slopes, on the other hand, move downward as you go to the right. We do not like negative slopes. The path Mario takes as he heads toward the ground after a boost is a negative slope, and at least here, parallel to the actual negative slopes in the level that we're trying to land on. So if you've just boosted and are trying to land on a negative slope, the game says no, you can't do that. Die. The moving platforms bring similar issues. Most of them in this stage move up and down and carry with them giant piranha plants, which are more than happy to pop up and clip your wings as you're trying to glide over them. But their movement also matters for where you land, because if a platform is moving down, you'll land farther, and if a platform is moving up, you'll land closer. They all move in sync, so if you boost from a platform that's moving up, you'll catch the next one while it's moving down, and vice versa. So you better have good timing with your jumps or you're getting chomped. This level also contains hammer bros, which are usually preceded by a negative slope. So setting up a jump to get past them will be difficult because if you try to do it from far away, you won't be high enough to get past the hammers, and if you try to get closer, you'll miss your landing spot and then get clocked in the head by a perfect snipe. And even after you get past all that, you have this stupid obstacle. This damn piranha plant makes progressing through this next section seem impossible because there's no way you're going to be able to run under it because but you can't run. If you land on the center platform at all, the attempt is over because all possible boosts lead straight to the plant. There are some ways to get past this, though it took me hours to figure out. The first option is to time a boost from this ledge to slip just below the middle platform and do very short I-hops to reach the right platform. Alternatively, if you undershoot the slip and land on this left platform, you can time jumps to land on the left edge of the platform, jump and boost just as it starts moving to the right, and then carry that momentum under the middle platform. The second option is to jump on this Koopa, let it recover, jump on it again, and time a shell throw. I didn't think to try this for hours. Oops. But even after all that, we're still not done because we have this. A negatively sloped tunnel lined with piranha plants on the top. Let me be clear, you are not going to be able to squeeze through here. Even if you somehow find the perfect angle to boost from, there's some Goombas near the end of the tunnel, so we're pretty much screwed. No matter how I approach this level, I couldn't seem to get through. We can't even try to just damage boost and inertia hop to the end, because there's still another hammer bro and a long flat stretch of land before the goal. I'll admit, I was ready to give up and just move on with the challenge. Things here just seemed kinda hopeless, and I did move on for a while, but eventually I returned with a brand new idea: Bubble Baby Yoshi. I normally consider these guys to be of little use. I mean, you can shake them and then bubbles fly out. What's so special about that? Well, not only can you bounce on these bubbles, but they can also kill most enemies they touch, turning them into more bubbles, including piranha plants. Ooh. It's not going to be easy though. We need to carry the baby Yoshi all the way to the end to use him in that tunnel. The problem is that while holding baby Yoshi, we can't boost because that's the same button that creates bubbles. So the only way we can bring him along is by jumping, throwing him, boosting, catching him as we land, and then I-hopping until we run out of momentum or have to stop for some other reason. Rinse and repeat until we win. Just one small issue though. Baby Yoshi is not very cooperative. When on the ground, he just walks in whatever direction he wants and turns around at random. He even freezes on each ba in the background music. The bubbles created from enemies last a while and can make you bounce too far when you want to stay low. He will gladly walk off ledges if there's any ground to land on, whether that's good for you or not. Let me be clear, if you're ever further to the right on the screen than Baby Yoshi, your attempt is pretty much over, so you might as well restart. It took many hours to do it, but I was eventually able to complete 1-5 without touching the control stick. Because of the complexity that goes into this level specifically, I will be showing you my full successful attempt, as well as pointing out and counting every skill check and luck check required for this attempt to turn out as well as it did. Without further ado, here is Rise of the Piranha Plants. As soon as the level starts, we have to jump and boost as low to the ground as possible. Instantly after, we need Baby Yoshi to continue walking to the right. About half of all my attempts had him turn around at some point before I can grab him, killing the run instantly. Here we avoid a luck check with a skill check, timing our throw so he lands right as the music goes ba, during which he'll stay in place for a much more consistent re-grab. Here we need Baby Yoshi to not turn around once again. Another ba timing to avoid a luck check. And I'll actually add another skill check here because we not only need to time our throws with the bas, but also time our boost so that we'll land while the platform is on the rise. Otherwise, we'll overshoot our intended landing spot as it moves down. Another time throw boost combo, but this one is much more reliant on the timing of the moving platform, so I'll only count it as a skill check. Another time throw on the bas. He actually turned around in my victory attempt, but immediately turned around again so I could continue the run. Otherwise, it would have died. This moment was a combination of both perfect positioning and gliding speed, as well as really good luck with the bubble spawning. I only had this sort of multi-bubble bounce combo thing happen about 5 times over all my attempts, and I guess it happened on the victory one too. We need Baby Yoshi to keep walking right. He ended up turning around here, but luckily came back to me after some time. We need Baby Yoshi to not turn around. The skill check comes from the timing of the boost to compensate for luck, but it's not foolproof. Thankfully, we got good luck anyway. You can't turn around here. Here, I'm trying to get one of my bubbles to hit the hammer bro, but they're all just short. So we'll need to do one last skill check to slip under without getting hit. As you can see, I was kind of hoping to bring the Baby Yoshi along with me, even though we don't need him anymore, but I gave up on trying halfway. Once I realized I was home free, I just kept boosting to the goal. What a level. I hated that. Enemy encounter, Piranha plants. We've got 3 plants coming out of these pipes, and an acorn suit certainly isn't going to kill them. But hey, we've got this question block floating to us with the star inside, so let's just open that up and... oh. Okay, so we can't get the star from here. Of course, there's no way to turn around here, but the question block can push us to the left a bit. We could from there boost forward to hit the block the second time it comes around, landing on the first pipe. But then the Piranha plant will decide it's shy and not pop out to greet you. And we can't use the question block again to push us back to the left, because not only can the block do a max of 2 cycles around the screen before time runs out, but the block doesn't even reappear as long as we have the star. But even if we could kill all the piranhas with the star, the chest appears on the left, and we need to open it to consider this level completed. So the acorn suit looks like it can't help us here, which is a problem because it's literally the only way we can move horizontally. The bubble Baby Yoshi looks promising, but we just can't reach far enough. And if we were to try to fire the bubbles from a bit further to the right, we can't reach the chest anymore. Perhaps we could try a fire flower? It looks promising too, but our fireballs just barely fall short of the first pipe. And even if they could reach the first pipe, they certainly wouldn't bounce nearly as high enough to reach the second one. The only way we could kill all 3 piranha plants with the fire flower was if we could shoot from really high up, but we can't jump high enough to get on top of the question block without the acorn suit, and even that really wouldn't be high enough. There is one more thing left to try. The pink Baby Yoshi. He can puff up like a balloon for a limited time and is our last hope for this level. And as our last hope, he does a pretty good job. He can get us all the way above the screen, which is exactly what we need to reach those last piranha plants. And as for the first one, we can actually bounce off of Baby Yoshi while he's on the ground for a bit of extra height. Putting it all together, and with a bit of luck, we can do something pretty sick here. Watch and listen to this. Pretty cool, right? Welcome to Layer Cake Desert. We've got 5 levels and 2 enemy encounters to try out. 2-1 Stone Eye Zone. This level isn't bad at all. I actually got to beat it on my first try. Just know that landing in quicksand and hitting sand geysers from the side completely halts your momentum, and be careful about waddle wings sharing your airspace. Because of them, it's actually safer to stick to the ground rather than jumping between the treetops. Enemy encounter, Fire Bro. Well, this seems easy enough. We can just boost straight over and... oh. Yeah, no matter how we kill the Fire Bro, we'll always overshoot the chest when trying to boost over to it. Not even a Baby Yoshi can help us out here. Sorry everyone, this level is impossible. Enemy encounter, Goombas. A complete opposite of the Fire Bro, this is the easiest enemy encounter ever. Just jump in place a couple times as the Goombas line up under you to be stomped on, and the chest spawns right on top of you as well. 2-4 Spike Spouting Sands. Spikes are, in fact, everywhere here, but in most cases, you can just boost over them. And when that doesn't happen, well, this is awkward. Feel free to prolong glides by bouncing off the Koopas, but be careful with bouncing off spikes, because if your timing's wrong, you'll be in for a pointy surprise. 2-5 Dry Desert Mushrooms. This level's pretty tough. We not only have to time our boosts with these moving platforms, but also time them around these stone spikes, who just love an opportunity to give you a concussion. Depending on how high up you are, it could be worth it to try and kill the stone spikes, but I usually wouldn't bother since it adds more issues with timing so that you don't get hit by a spike ball that gets pulled up right before you land. For the final moving platform at the end, come into it with momentum and stop on the far right edge. If your timing was right, you should be completely safe. Probably. Maybe. No promises. 2-6 Blooming Lakitus. This level's styled a lot like 2-1, but it's much worse because of all the piranha plants before I've even recovered from the trauma back in World 1, and because of the titular Lakitu, whose spines are actually just more piranha plants. Are you kidding me? Listen, there are specific points in which you can time a jump to kill Lakitu right as he spawns. I highly recommend using these to make your sanity deplete just a little bit slower. Either way, have fun slamming into the same giant plant for the 30th damn attempt. 2-Secret Piranha Plants on Ice. This has got to be one of the easiest levels in World 2, literally taking me 2 minutes to beat. The ice is great here because it makes conserving momentum a piece of cake, and as long as you keep moving and boost close to the ground, those fire-spitting piranha plants are barely going to be an issue. Yeah, how do you like that, piranha plants? Stupid freaks of nature. You can go pound sand, preferably in World 2, because we're getting out of this place. Welcome to Sparkling Waters. We've got 4 levels and 2 enemy encounters to try out. 3-1 Waterspout Beach. These waterspouts act just like the sand geysers in World 2, so we can approach them similarly, taking advantage of the consistent positioning that comes from hitting a spout from the side. We're going to want to jump from treetops as much as possible to give us time to react to the Hucket crabs as they attempt to stone us, and also want to be wary of these pipes that we can get stuck under a couple times throughout the level. Enemy encounter, Cheep Cheeps, Variant 1. These flying fish actually do us a huge favor by jumping in our direction. Which fish reach you when can vary, so your best strategy is to spin jump the moment you see the fish start their second jump. Then boost over to the chest. Enemy encounter, Cheep Cheeps Variant 2. Very similar to the last one, but this time the fish jump towards the center when the level starts rather than to the left, which means half of the fish will be jumping in opposite directions. Because of this, it's much more worth it to boost to the block in the middle and take advantage of the star inside. 3-3 Above the Cheep Cheep Seas. This is one of the very few instances of a level that requires going through a loading zone, but we can actually still beat. Instead of a pipe or door to enter the next area, we have a water spout to take us up, and the flagpole here is in the skies as well. Structurally, this stage is pretty similar to 3-1, but without the crabs or water on the bottom. The main problem is the Cheep Cheeps jumping at you from below, because you can't predict them very well, and while you're floating down from a boost, there's not much you can do to dodge them. As a result, prioritize remaining high up on the screen and minimizing the time spent floating down from a boost. And be especially careful with these 3 giant water spouts at the end. 3-4 Urchin Shoals. This is basically a relatively painless 1-5 where you replace the moving platforms with water spouts, piranha plants with urchins, and eternal suffering with simple pattern learning from a few failed attempts. It'll definitely take a few tries as you need to figure out the timings for spouts up ahead that you can't see until after you've committed to a boost. And of course, if you can minimize the amount of time you're vulnerable to a rising urchin, that would be great as well. 3-Secret Skyward Stalk. This is the only vertical level in the entire game that we can beat in this challenge, and not only is it a vertical level, but an auto-scrolling one. It's also the only other level besides 3-3 that we can beat with a required loading zone. Now, our main goal here is to stay on the left side of the beanstalk as long as possible. We'll start with some spin jumps, then get to these, branches? These can actually take us further to the left, but our goal is to have just the right positioning to jump up to the leftmost coin on the leaf above. We can then grab this other branch, let it take us a bit further left, and jump up to the leftmost coin of this leaf. Then we want to land on the left edge of this smaller leaf. A boost will be good, but if we just miss it, we can take advantage of how flying leaves float down. The left leaves float right, and the right leaves float left, so we can use these to slightly adjust positioning, or make a recovery if we go too far to the right. If we do get the right position, then we can spin jump up for a bit while the beanstalk twists to the left, barely landing on the edges of the leaves above us. On this leaf specifically, we're going to want to let it float down so we can adjust slightly left. Then we just keep spin jumping straight up until we reach the goal. Welcome to Frosted Glacier. We've got 5 levels and 4 enemy encounters to try out, some of the highest numbers out of any world. 4-1 Spinning Star Sky. This level ain't half bad. The star lifts actually allow us better control of our positioning, since we get to decide exactly when in their rotation we jump off of them. Though the fact that they are negatively sloped on one side can lead to frustration. It's better to slightly undershoot the middle of a star rather than overshoot. Right after the first star coin, we want to get a bit more precise. There's this Piranha plant here that seems perfectly positioned to ruin our day, so we want to boost over the preceding star lift instead of onto it, then I hop over the plant. And for another major pro tip, don't fall into the munchers below. My doctor told me they're bad for your health. 4-2 Cooligan Fields. This level is mostly on ice, which is great for conserving momentum, but also means we'll have to deal with all these Cooligans sliding all over the place. I honestly don't really want to hurt them, they seem pretty chill. Maybe it's the sunglasses. We do need to be careful with this spot right here before the checkpoint, because trying the boost from further back will allow the Cooligan spawning pipe to spawn Cooligans. We should instead try to land on this slope and slowly slide down to the bottom, then time a low boost. Also, there are these sets of 2 pipes here near the end. If you lose momentum or break too high through the ceiling, you're probably going to get stuck. So jump off this ledge, start a glide, boost when you're right between these 2 ice platforms, slip under the pipe, and do short eye hops to get across. Enemy encounter, Cooligans Variant 1. No. 4-3 Prickly Goombas. This one's pretty difficult because not only is this stage full of fire-spitting piranha plants, but it's also full of, you guessed it, Prickly Goombas! Yay! It's also really cramped, so there's not a very large margin for error. Therefore, we'll get a bit specific here. Boost as soon as the level starts, slide under this fireball, then jump and glide under this next fireball. Do some short eye hops and boosts until you slide under this next piranha plant, eye hop for a bit longer, and then hopefully you've got momentum to jump over this Prickly Goomba and boost over this fireball. Make sure to boost after you've cleared the Prickly Goomba, or else you'll hit the ceiling and fall into the piranha plant. Eye hop over these Prickly Goombas and glide between this plant and its fireball. Keep eye hopping until you can boost off of the top of this rolling hill, not against the wall, because then you'll hit the plant. Boost again when you're over this Prickly Goomba to slip under this set of 3 Goombas. Keep eye hopping for a while, even when you think it might be safe to boost. Trust me, it gives you more control. Boost off of this slope when you're around its middle and pray for decent luck to bounce off of this fire bro so that you can keep eye hopping up this rolling hill. If you try to boost here, you'll likely get stuck at the top. Keep progressing, then boost off of this left pipe so you can slip under the fire bro. Be ready to dodge this one as well. When you land, let yourself get onto this slope and slowly slide down. For these last rolling hills, your best idea is to actually stand still and spin jump when needed over the piranha plants in between each hill. The momentum from the ice should be just enough to clear each of them. And bam, you're done. Enemy encounter, Cooligans, Variant 2. Now, I know this looks pretty bad, but since the chest spawns on the right, we actually have a chance here. And that chance comes from Bubble Baby Yoshi. Let him do most of the work for you, then take out any remaining stragglers. Easy. 4-4 Scaling the Mountainside. This is really just 3-3 again, but with the water spouts and jumping Cheep Cheeps being replaced with Waddle Wings and Bullet Bills. Now, I know these 2 levels may not look that similar outside of using scale lifts, but recognizing patterns between 2 stages at all, even if you have to stretch a bit, can work wonders for figuring out the best way to approach a level. Mostly adopting the same playstyle of staying high up and landing quickly actually let me first try this stage, which is something I certainly cannot say about most of this challenge. Enemy encounter, Cooligans Variant 3. No. And before you're thinking of hypothetically landing on the far right slope and slowly sliding to the chest, Nabbit will get to it long before you do. Enemy encounter, Cooligans, variant 4. Take a guess with this one. You have until all the enemies die. Go on, guess. That's correct, the answer is no! 4-secret, Flipperous Lake. This isn't too bad. You can get past the river piranha plants with good timing and positioning, while the Flipperses are just less dangerous spikes that can jump. There's also these floating crates which sink as you stand on them before launching you upwards when you jump. For most of them, I wouldn't bother with their mechanic too much, since you kinda have to come to a complete stop to take advantage of it. In most cases, just immediately jump off the crates as soon as you land, though there are a few moments where they can be more useful, such as this moment right here, and also to skip this really cramped section down below right before the end of the level. Welcome to Soda Jungle. We've got 5 levels and 3 enemy encounters to try out. 5-1, Jungle of the Giants. This level's great because we get to repeatedly bounce off of giant enemies, and it's really fun and easy, and I like it. I mean, the level is literally designed with this in mind because of that one-up challenge where you do exactly that. Big fan. 5-2, Bridge over Poison Waters. This level's pretty easy too. Though I do want to specify what I mean by easy, because a level in this challenge being easy is not the same as a level in any of my previous challenges being easy. Like, every individual stage here is harder than any stage I've done in any of my other challenges, but when compared to nightmares like 1-5, 5-2 and many others seem easy. And I haven't been showing it that much, but even on the levels I've said that were easy, unless I've stated otherwise, I'm still failing a good few times on each, including this one. Because part of what makes a given level easy is not as much its real-time difficulty, but also how hard it is to learn the patterns required to beat it, and how closely you have to follow that pattern. Like, where to jump and when and stuff. Like, here, it took me a few tries to realize that you should be doing lots of boosting in the first half of the level with rolling logs, and switching over to lots of controlled IHOPs during the second half with these appearing brick blocks. But because it was so simple to figure out the correct thing to do, I still considered the level easy, even if I did die multiple times on it. Get it? 5-4, Painted Swampland. See, now this is a level that's hard by the standards I just said. Most of the level consists of jumping between thin, tilted pipes, many of which are negative slopes. And all the while, you have to be dodging boos that are absolutely everywhere and give you no chance to stand still. This very first boo, in fact, is placed as inconveniently as possible. You either have to boost at the very peak of a spin jump or as low to the ground as you can. Any other height results in a loss. And if, at any point, you come to a complete stop right under a boo, you might as well restart because you are not escaping that. Right after the checkpoint comes a set of boomerangs, and you need to be very precise here. I hop and glide over to the space between these two pipes and boost right there. You should be horizontally between the left and middle coins above you, and your feet should line up vertically with the tilting blue pipe on the right just as it begins to rise up. This way, we'll land right on top of the question block and have just the right positioning to barely boost over each boomerang. Then there'll be 2 more sets of pipes right before the end. In the first set, land on the first and third pipes. In the second set, land on the first pipe, then boost just above the second pipe to land on the fourth one. Enemy encounter, Boos Variant 1. This is looking pretty bleak. Pretty much all boosting angles get us killed by this boo here. And of course the star is too high to reach without moving forward. So we'll need to call upon our secret weapon, Bubble Baby Yoshi, once again. Now, even though he's here, that doesn't make the level free. We start by killing as many boos as we can immediately, but now we gotta worry about all these bubbles floating around. So we wait for them to die, boost to the middle platform, hit the block, boost again, weave between these 2 boos, grab the star, and the boos basically come to us begging to be killed. But I thought ghosts couldn't die, Mario 64. Anyway, there's still the problem of reaching the chest, and from where we're standing, we're gonna overshoot it. I guess we needed a better angle. What? Okay, so apparently, if you're standing just to the right of a chest and spin jump, you'll just open it. I found this out by complete accident and don't know why it works, so if anyone knows, please tell me. Enemy encounter, Boos Variant 2. This starts off with a similar situation to the last one, so let's just skip the drama and get to the part where we kill everything with the Bubble Baby Yoshi. Things go the same as last time, except now with donut blocks instead of moving platforms, which honestly makes it even easier. Enemy encounter, Boos Variant 3. This one's moving platform actually moves left and right, including above the place we need to stand to open the chest. So as long as we're standing on the platform when all the boos are dead, we can beat this encounter. Start by immediately boosting to the platform, jumping over this boo in the middle, and hitting the question block. It's totally okay to take a bit of damage here, as long as we grab the star, allowing the boos to float straight to us and to their deaths. Once they're gone, we get on the right edge of the platform and hop off just in front of the chest. 5-6 Seesaw Bridge. When breaking it down, this level is entirely composed of slopes that keep switching from positive to negative and back again. So all of our timing and positioning is centered around that very gimmick. Just remember what we've learned so far. Positive slopes? Good. We like to boost towards positive slopes. Negative slopes? No. Bad. We do not like to boost towards negative slopes. Long stretches of river piranha plants? Also bad. River piranha plants with negative slopes? Very bad. Whatever the hell this thing is at the end? I have no idea about this one. It wasn't in the manual. But hey, it's all just a theory. A slope theory. Thanks for watching. 5-7 Wiggler Stampede. These giant wigglers are great because your boost resets every time you bounce on them. But there's a drawback of usually moving faster than the wigglers, so you can't bounce on them forever. Now, let's point out some specific moments. Right here with these two mushrooms, land on the right side of the first one, then do a low boost right as it finishes moving to the right. Otherwise, you'll hit your head when jumping to the second mushroom. Right after, we come across this. We're expected to turn around and hit the P-switch to free the wiggler, but we of course can't turn around. Instead, let's take advantage of this convenient gap above the screen and try to approximate landing on the right edge of this piece of ground. Then, jump and boost as the paratroopa has reached its lowest point, and you should be able to bounce off of it. Boost again over this ground above the screen, and I guess we've somehow freed the wiggler? I think it's because the brick block's deloaded, but anyways, we'll go ahead of him as we bounce off all of these paratroopers to land on this mushroom. Now we could wait for Wiggler to come by so we can do this next part, or we can bounce off this long paratrooper for style points. Once we reach this yellow mushroom with the smaller Wiggler though, we do actually have to wait here for the big one to come by so we can close out the level. Thanks for the ride, buddy. I'll pay you back next time I see ya. I just left my wallet in Peach's castle. Welcome to Rock Candy Mines. We've got... Wait a minute, just one level? Okay then. Turns out every other stage requires entering a pipe or door to complete, so I'm not complaining. 6-5 Walking Piranha Plants. Now, the level is correct about the plants, but what I really care about are these hanging chains. They're finicky to time without the ability to manually swing, but if we do time it right, then look at that, a small speed boost. And if we time it really right, then we get to go at Mach 5. I'm not joking, I was so used to slowly boosting through every level by this point that moving at the standard running speed threw me off completely. As for the walking piranha plants themselves, just take a few tries to learn where to land in order to be safe. Or you can just watch the clip in front of your eyes and skip the trial and error part. For the plants on these moving platforms specifically, you actually want to land in between each pair. It seems the most risky, but this is actually the most consistent target due to how the platforms are spaced out. And just like that, the only possible level in World 6 has been completed. Welcome to Meringue Clouds. We've got 3 levels and 2 enemy encounters to try out. 7-2 Seesaw Shrooms. This level is deceptively hard because at first it seems like your only overarching problem is going to be these tilting mushrooms. I mean, negative slopes are bad and all that, but as long as you jump off of them instantly, then they barely tilt, right? Well, to start, we gotta get over this fuzzy. The most consistent way is to I-hop over to this question block and then boost from there, because trying to land on the mushroom below the fuzzy is not fun at all. Then we say hi to Yoshi, I-hop to the edge of this mushroom, then glide below this fuzzy and boost once we are right in between the edges of these 2 seesaw mushrooms. Then we gotta play Flappy Bird. I found the best way to time squeezing between these pipes is to glide against the pipe so that you can boost just as the plants are retreating. Dodge this Koopa, do another pipe squeeze, dodge these Paragoombas, stand on the right end of this seesaw, jump once it starts to heavily tilt down, and slip under it as it comes back up, allowing us to boost under this pipe and reach the checkpoint. See? Not so bad! Then the Lakitu shows up. Okay, that's fine, I can dodge this, as annoying as it is, and how easy it is to make mistakes. Then there's these freaking stretch shrooms. Your timing and positioning has to be immaculate for these, especially between the second and third shroom. But your best strategy is to jump right after the shrooms shrink so that you land when they're stretched out. Except for this one shroom, which has a question block above it, so you can't jump when it's shrunk. Just have really good timing and positioning, I guess. It only took me 2 hours to figure out, so maybe it'll be simple for you. 7-3 Switchback Hill. Now, this level really isn't that bad, despite being the closest this game comes to a bullet hell, because there's actually bullets. But this isn't really hell. Just seems like a bunch of free boost resets to me. But our main issue is right here. A little bit after the start of the level, we're expected to stand on this arrow lift and crouch as it carries us under this low ceiling. But we can't crouch. A boost sure as hell isn't going to get us under either, so what do? No, it's not Bubble Baby Yoshi this time. He isn't the solution to everything. It's a pink Baby Yoshi instead. He's actually called a Balloon Baby Yoshi and is apparently magenta, but don't worry about that. Magenta isn't even a real color. We do have to carry Baby Yoshi over to the spot that we need to use him at, so we start the level with an immediate low boost and pray he doesn't turn around. Then we balloon up once, throw him onto this arrow lift, boost and re-grab, and then just use more balloons to carry our momentum over to where we need it to be. Then I hop past this lift, glide until you're just under the low ceiling, and then we start ballooning to get across. If you do it too early, you'll get stuck, so be careful. Once we hit the wall, we keep ballooning up until we reach this arrow lift above us. At this point, we can just leave the Baby Yoshi here. Don't worry, he likes this sort of environment. Also, thanks for the save, Bullet Bill. From here, things are much simpler. For this section near the end, I highly recommend landing on the blasters themselves rather than the arrow lifts. It takes a bit more precision, but removes any chances of bad luck. Enemy encounter, Fuzzies Variant 1. Well, boosting to the star either makes us slam into a fuzzy, or if we dodge it, leaves us incapable of reaching the fuzzies above. And even if we did get up there, any boost would overshoot the chest on the right. So of course, we're gonna bring our Bubble Baby Yoshi here, and oh my god, they don't die. Enemy encounter, Fuzzies Variant 2. This one is just as impossible as the first variant, and for pretty much the same reasons. If we boost for the star, we get hit by a fuzzy. If we dodge it, then we overshoot our chance to kill them. Bubble Baby Yoshi has been outmatched. 7-4 Bouncy Cloud Boomerangs. These titular bouncy clouds are really great. They kill our momentum, but allow for a really high boost. So it's great for floating over all the obstacles. At least as long as there are clouds to boost over. For the Boomerang Bros, we still have to approach them very carefully. For this first one, land on this first pipe with momentum, then, while still carrying it, spin, jump, and boost to maximize your odds of clearing it. For this section with a lot of red pipes, start with a bounce from the cloud, then boost this cloud above. Break all the brick blocks, because the last one contains a star. That I didn't grab on my victory attempt, but that's fine. When you're against this shorter red pipe, bounce and boost when you're just above this taller red pipe. That gets us through this section, and then for the ending where Boomerang Bros are everywhere, skip the clouds entirely and try to bounce off the first bro if you can. Then bounce off this Koopa so you can avoid having to stop and boost here. And lastly, bounce off this first cloud so you can boost over the final Boomerang Bro. Welcome to Peach's Castle. We've only got a single level here to try out, and unlike 7-3, it is literally hell. 8-1 Meteor Mode. Oh my god. This level is actually just pure luck. I'm serious, it's an RNG fest and a long one at that. Now, a level where meteors fall from the top of the screen is nothing new to the new Super Mario Bros. Series. It's in every game, in fact. But let me explain why Meteor Mo is the worst out of all of them. See, in the previous games, these volcanoes in the background would indicate when the meteors would fall. You'd see a small wave of them where you're currently standing, and then you get a short grace period before the next eruption. In this game, however, there is no grace period. There is no warning when they come. They just fall. Non-stop. Completely randomly in both position and falling speed. Though, I mean, there seems to be a bit of weightedness in the random falling. Like, in all my attempts, there seem to be 4 or so ways a given screen of the level would typically go. Like, this exact moment right here could fall with this variation, or this one, or this one. Whether or not you will survive a given variation just depends on what you are trying to account for, and whether it matches what you got. And even the possible responses you could have had for a variation are hard to execute, So you just gotta have the right timing and positioning, all while most of the level's ground decides it wants to bob up, down, left, and right all over the place to throw you off. It looks like there's probably a pattern for their horizontal floating, but their up-down is just whatever it feels like that day. And that's just another random factor to keep track of. Now, one thing we do have going for us is that there are specific chunks of the level where meteors don't spawn, unlike the other games where it's level-wide. So let's take a look at this level map. Okay, so the safe zones are here, here, and here, and everything else is just random chaos. Once you're at this long stretch at the end, you can't prepare for anything. Just have a killer reaction time and pray for luck to have mercy on your soul. The only thing we can do to relieve the pain is start the level with the star to avoid having to account for the meteors in the first 10 seconds. Now, I'm going to show you my victory attempt for this level, just as I did for 1-5, but this time I will only be including luck checks. Skill is, of course, very required, but pretty much no skill-based action that we perform can ever guarantee that we dodge a particular luck check. So, without further ado, here is Meteor Moat. At this point, since meteors seem to be completely random rather than picking a random variation, every single meteor on screen had a chance of spawning somewhere undodgeable at some point. The counter is going to reflect that. Thank Nintendo for making the lava hitbox shorter than it looks. This took about 3.5 hours. Screw you, Meteor Modes. Welcome to Superstar Road, the final world in the game. You've got 5 levels to try out. 9-1, Spine Tingling Spine Coaster. This level is literally just a roller coaster, and surprisingly isn't all that bad. In fact, once you get on the coaster itself, you don't even need the Acorn suit to beat it. Although of course it is nice to have for the extra hit we can take before dying. The coaster speeds up and slows down, but it really is 2 main speeds, slow and fast. When the coaster is slow, jumping actually moves you a bit to the right on the coaster for some reason. I don't know why this works, but we should take advantage and position ourselves as far right on the coaster as possible during slow segments, because once it's moving fast, jumping moves us left relative to the coaster, and we certainly don't want to fall off. We should also take advantage of the power-ups generously granted to make our lives even easier. You'll need a good reaction time to dodge the fuzzies, as well as some good positioning for the ending, but overall this stage is pretty easy. 9-2, Run for It. Take a guess as to whether the level Run for It is possible without being able to run. Surprisingly, the answer is no. What's even more surprising is that this is the first platforming level we've encountered that doesn't require entering doors or pipes, yet is still unbeatable. I think it's just impressive that we've lasted this long. 9-5, Spinning Platforms of Doom. This level's pretty short, and mostly centered around these spinning platforms. Of course, you could apply slope theory when navigating these, but there's usually a bit more to it than that. For the first set, you should probably jump off early and grab this vine, and then land from the second vine as close to this boo ring as possible. Then spin jump boost over that. We'll need to get a bit more precise here to get past this pipe section. Hopefully, you're standing on the edge of this ledge here. Now this Piranha to the right is barely on screen, but you want to watch it closely and boost towards it just as it retreats into the pipe. Then we want to I-hop until we're gliding against this pipe and boost just above its vertical middle so that you land on top but to the right of this question block. Then I-hop again and glide against this blue pipe so that you can boost through just as this plant is retreating, if you got all that timing correctly. Then we gotta time a boost to slip through this boo ring onto the spinning platforms. If you're where I'm standing, look for these 3 boos in the ring. See the one with its tongue stuck out? Time your boost for when that boo is closest to the ledge. Once you land, pay attention to the ring's openings. The second time one appears above you, spin jump and boost to escape the ring completely. And as for this last moving platform, only boost once the platform has moved out from under you completely and is swinging up and to the right. One boost is probably enough to let you boost again to reach the flag. 9-7, Lakitu, Lakitu, Lakitu. This level's got lots of moving platforms and, of course, Lakitus. 3 of them, in fact. This level's gonna be hard, but it's luckily just simple hard. We don't need to go over specific moments and rather just bring up a strategy. Try to never stop moving, and once the Lakitus show up, try I-hopping as much as possible rather than boosting, because boosts come with the risk of slamming into a Lakitu from below or the side. If you've made it this far, you can certainly beat this level too. 9-9, follow that shell. This is the final level in the entire game, and it's the easiest one at that. There's pretty much no threats, and the gimmick of the stage is completely optional. Haha, look at us. We can just keep gliding and boosting all the way to the goal. Oh no. It hurts me a lot to say this, but an otherwise free level and great final note for this challenge is completely impossible because of its very last part. Because there's no way in hell you're getting down there at all, whether those bricks were gone or not. Talk about a downer. However, with this level's conclusion, we've completed this challenge. Hooray! In total, out of Mario U's 82 platforming stages and 14 enemy encounters, we were able to beat 31 and 8 respectively, for a grand total of 39 out of 96 levels being possible without ever touching the control stick, which is more than a third. Now, would I recommend trying this challenge out yourself? No. I would not wish this torment on my worst enemy. The simple levels are fun with this challenge, but stuff like 1-5 and 8-1 just devolved into multi-hour frustration. Please, if you value your sanity, don't do this. Besides, I already gave you the answer to the question in the first place. Now, with that being said, if you really want me to do this challenge with Luigi U as well, then I am more than willing to torture myself again for more views. If you've enjoyed my suffering, then please like, comment, and subscribe, yada yada yada, and I'll be seeing you next time where I beat Mario Teaches Typing without a keyboard. Goodbye, peoples!